All right. What's up, everyone? Coach Victor here, filling in for Coach Tony just because feeling a little bit a tiny bit of sickness. So we'll be co-leading tonight. And for today's topic, we're going to be planning out 2025. So if you're new to our community, something that we always like to do is please put your grade level in the chat just so that we know how to cater this presentation. And also, it'll help me understand about what we should be focusing on. So we're going to be going through this document together. If you already have it up, I encourage y'all to fill it out. And essentially what this is about how you're going to be creating the best 2025 year, right? How is it that you can plan ahead and making sure that you get everything done that you need to do? So before that, though, if you haven't already and you're not a part of our coaching families, we encourage you to check out a free 15-minute coaching call. A lot of this information that we're about to cover, we actually covered some parts of it on this coaching call, where we can be able to create a customized action plan for you on what is it that you and your child can be able to do to maximize your college admission chances. And don't worry, nothing's going to be sold on this call. The whole point of this call is to be able to give you an action plan that you could utilize right away and to be able to maximize your chances. Okay. And so also, if you want to call, make sure book a call, text coach to 949-298 and 6234. And from there, we'll be able to reach out to you and be able to make sure that we can book you as soon as we can, just because it's the end of the year and a lot of people are trying to be able to book before the next year starts. All right. That being said, let's go into this part about why is planning out 2025 important, okay? So first of all, when it comes to college admissions, something to know is that when students don't get into like places like Harvard or Berkeley or these prestigious top universities, it's not because they're not smart or they're not they don't belong there per se. It's only because of the fact that they didn't do certain things to really prepare themselves for the admissions process. The few things that we're going to be covering here is really about what are the specific academics, the specific activities that you need to do to make sure that you maximize your chances. And a lot of the parents that we talk to for the 11th grade families or the 12th grade families, after they talk to us and met us for the first time, a lot of them realized that they could have done all these different things that we recommend. And the issue is that, again, it's not because of the students weren't smart enough or they didn't belong there, but it's because they just didn't know what they needed to do. And for the most part, a lot of students are focusing on the wrong things. So one of the huge things that we're going to talk about here is how to prioritize your time and how to make sure that you're spending your efforts on the things that actually matter the most. And we'll go into all the kind of common mistakes that people tend to do and how to just ensure that you, choosing the right things essentially. Coach Tony, anything you want to add into here?
No, I think that's pretty much it. So I think the big kind of takeaway here, in the words of our head of coaching, Coach Art, he always says we gotta plan our work and then work the plan. I think a lot of families who are successful, the only reason again, it's not accident they were successful. They kind of planned everything out ahead of time to be successful as well. So I think it's the same thing. You guys are joining us on this session. Some of us are joining us on the replay access as well too. So biggest thing is if you guys again, the goal of this session is to help you guys plan out this, and once you guys have this plan, go ahead and execute on this plan as well. Okay.
All right, so let's get into it and let's start off with the winter months of the year. So starting from December to February, there's a lot of different things that you could be doing, especially, and we're going to go through each grade level about what is it that you need to focus on. So I see that we have a good range of people from 8th grade, 9th grade, all the way up to 12th grade, and so we're going to cover step by step. First off, with 8th graders, one of the most important thing to do is to plan out your high school course schedule, okay? Try to see what particular AP courses are there, what honors courses are available. The goal is that you want to increase your amount of rigor. One other thing about college admissions, right, is that we typically see your kind of academic stats in comparison to the average of the rest of the school. So, for example, if you go to a school, right, and they take on average like 5 AP courses or something of that sort, then that means that we'll be able to see this school that you're coming from has that particular average, and are you above or below it? And so one of the things is you want to maximize your rigor as much as possible. So make sure that you schedule with that. And so one of the things that 8th graders that you should be doing right now, meet with your counselors to select the right 9th grade courses, and particularly the ones that can ensure that you have the maximum amount of rigor. Also, to maybe consider as well is what are all the other AP courses that are available at that school at later grade levels? Because one of the things that you want to try to do is try to map out what exactly the next 4 years are going to look like. And you can do that with us as well. And the goal here is like we want to try to see like how do we fit in the amount of rigor throughout those 4 years. All right, let's go next to ninth grade. So for ninth grade, after you've pretty much completed your first semester of high school, great job, right? The important part is to assess your first semester grades and try to set your academic goals for this upcoming spring, right? How did you do in your courses for English, for math, for history? What is it that you particularly need support with? And also for the grades that you didn't do too well, right? Try to understand why, okay? Is it because you're not interested in it? Is it because that you didn't necessarily have the right study habits? Is it because of your peers? Is it because of the curriculum? Just try to understand for yourself, like this is good learning, right? Like, because later on, we're gonna have to choose what specific courses that you do really well in, and we want to try to avoid courses that you're not gonna do too well in. So, for example, like one of the things that we'll talk about later on is about dual enrollment and how sometimes it's easier to be able to do dual enrollment courses than actually going through your AP courses. So that's one of the strategies we'll talk about a little bit later. But first off, assess your strengths. And also, the next part too is to begin looking into academic enrichment if possible. So try to look ahead, right, for the summer. What are the particular courses that you could take in the summertime? For the most part, we typically recommend on the math sequence, right? To get ahead on math because a lot of students tend to differentiate from math. What I mean by that is by the time that you finish high school, right? Where would you be? Would you be a Calculus AB, Calculus BC? Would you be on stats? Try to have a better understanding of where would you stand in comparison to all your peers in terms of your math sequence. So that's something that we typically would recommend for ninth graders to try to plan out. And usually we end up having them take math courses over the summer. All right, 10th grade. So you're in 10th grade right now. You're likely prepping for your first AP and IB exams. So something to consider is what are you going to be your study habits for these coming months, right? Are you going to be studying with your friends? Are you going to study with your family? Uh, are you better studying by yourself? The goal is to be able to do really well on these AP tests because again, for the college admissions process, what they want to know is, can you handle the amount of college rigor at a university? Because it's not just about being able to get in, but can you graduate on time? And so that's why the AP courses, the IB exams are really important because they help us determine whether if you can handle the amount of rigor. Also, if you are in 10th grade, more than likely you've probably taken the PSATs in the fall, okay? Try to understand of where you're at and gauge whether if you need to study for the actual SATs and how many points do you need to increase it by. If you didn't know, if you score above a 1530 or around that range, you could potentially qualify for a merit scholarship. And so if you're like at the 1400 range or maybe the 1300 range, great. You kind of set a benchmark of I need to increase my SAT scores by 100 points, 200 points, or whichever. Set a goal for yourself in terms of how many points that you need to be able to increase it in order to be eligible for that scholarship. Next is 11th grade. So for 11th grade, start the SAT, ACT prep. More than likely, you're going to be taking it during this year, right? And also, if you're applying to any private schools or outside of schools from the UCs or CSUs, this is going to be very important for you. Even though some schools are test optional for these other private schools and they follow like the UC route, uh, they're slowly like removing those policies. So it's really important to have it on your belt just in case if it does change. Right now for the UCs, if you're only applying to UCs, more than likely it's not going to be a huge concern because we don't have any indications at the very moment that they'll change that policy. At the very least, right, it doesn't hurt to take the PSATs or the SATs, but it might not be a huge priority if you are only trying to aim for the UCs at this moment. But also, you could still actually score above 1530, qualify for that merit scholarship, and you can use that towards your UC admission, your UC cost as well. And lastly, for 11th grade is to finalize your spring semester, your course adjustments. A lot of families end up joining us at 11th grade, and they immediately realize how little academic rigor they have on their schedule. So something to consider for this your spring semester and your final 2 semesters before you apply is how do you at what level of academic rigor can you fit in as much as possible while balancing out your own kind of capacity, because one of the things that we don't want you to do is to drown yourself in studying constantly, right? So try to evaluate your own kind of capacity to take on more academic rigor if you can. And again, one of the strategies that we always say here is to diversify your academic rigor. If you're taking the same courses as everyone else, then you're going to look like the same as everyone else. So that's one of the challenges here that you want to avoid is you want to make sure that you are taking the additional dual enrollment courses, maybe from UC Scout, maybe from BYU, just to be able to help your academic stand out a bit more. 12th grade, congratulations, you have finished your applications and you're probably done with submitting your your apps. If you have submitted your apps, know that it's not over yet, okay? You still have to do maintain good and strong grades, because if you do have bad grades, it's possible that people can rescind your acceptances. It's very rare, but it has happened where students like end up failing their senior year, and then they end up no longer qualifying for their admissions. So make sure that you do maintain your grades. Also, if you are applying to private schools, likelihood that this is the time to right now prepare for your interviews. So practice with some coaches, practice with some friends or with your family for the kind of for these admissions like interviews. All right. And also let's go down to the activities. Okay. So for the activities in eighth grade, it's really about exploration here, okay? If you are a parent of the eighth grader, one of the things that we always tell our parents is you need to expose them to as many different things as possible. Like as a student, how would you even know that you like anything if you haven't tried it, right? It's like food, right? I wouldn't know how certain ethnic foods if I have an opinion on it unless I actually tasted it. And so same for yourself, try to taste as many different types of extracurriculars in this case, right? And so, for example, taking your eighth grader to like a museum, taking them to like different type of events, exhibits, whichever. Try to see what sparks their interest, okay? The ninth grade year is really about your clubs, okay? You entered high school. This is probably your first time in it, and you probably have now a better understanding of what clubs are you most interested in. The next part here is to try to see if you can take on leadership roles for this upcoming year, right? Try to figure out which ones are the places where you can gain more kind of leadership experience or work experience through these clubs, because later on when you write your applications, you're going to need to talk about how did you create an impact within your community or within your organization. So that being said, like consider what clubs have been the most interesting to yourself, which ones do you like, and which ones do you want to continue on. Also for ninth grade, right? If you haven't thought about it already, something to think about is a personal project, right? Have you created something on your own, right? One of the things that we look for within admissions is how do you say that you want to study like computer science, for example? How do you know that you want to do that? Okay. Like the questions that we have within admissions is why do you want to go to college? What do you want to major in? And also, how do you know that you actually want to do this? And that's typically through your personal project. Your personal project doesn't have to be perfect. It can be anything that you want it to be. But what matters is that it's giving you the exposure that you need to know whether if this is the right direction for you. Okay, next is the 10th grade. Okay, now that you have a better understanding of different types of clubs, different types of activities, now it's time to evaluate and focus on the activities that matter the most and that's aligned with your college goals. Hopefully at this time, you have a better sense of what your major is, okay? Try to identify which of your clubs have the most alignment to that. And it doesn't have to be a direct match, okay? What I mean by that is sometimes, like, for example, some students would say that they want to major in business, and they learn that they want to do business through their art club. And they learn how to, like, for example, sell things from their art club and to be able to create their own, like, kind of uh, business that finances itself. And then they're able to like kind of use that money to fundraise for the club or for the school, right? That's an example of like something where it doesn't have like that direct like correlation, but there's still application involved there. So what I mean by that is it like you should just do what is it that you love to do, but eventually you want to try to figure out about how does it apply to the potential majors that you might be most interested in. Okay. The other part for 10th grade is you're probably at the age now where you're ready to start beginning to research summer opportunities. So for summer opportunities, there's a lot of summer programs that you can consider. Just do your own independent research. The best place to kind of honestly to get started on that is to ask around, ask your friends about what is it that they've done in the past. And if you're like generally interested in a particular field, it's likely that there are other people in that field, whether that's your friends or family, or if you're part of our families already, our coaching families, you can easily ask the rest of our other families who are involved and say like, hey, my kid is interested in business. Does anyone have any ideas about what particular summer experiences do you have in business? And a lot of people are willing to share that. So that's just something to consider as a potential involvement activity. All right. Now that you're in 11th grade, okay? Now that's December. This is also thinking about summer opportunities as well, but this is more focused now. Now you might be thinking about particular internships, summer programs, or research opportunities that are more aligned to that major, okay? Uh, Again, it's okay if you don't know what major that you want to do, okay? What we always emphasize is it matters more about the pathway that you want to apply into. So, for example, if you know that you want to do computer science or engineering, any computer science or engineering internship, summer program, research program can like work. And if you're interested in STEM or business, like generally anything in that related field can be fine as well. So just know that you don't necessarily have to look for a specific opportunity. What matters the most is what is it that you want to learn? What is it that you want to gain this particular summer that can help inform what is it that you might want to do later on in the future? So what we care about within admissions is, are you taking initiative to create a better summer experience or a better like kind of summer curriculum for yourself to get more involved? And lastly, for 11th grade is to consider leadership opportunities in the for your clubs. So you probably have been involved for a few years now. Now's the time to hopefully uh, think about like how can you take your leadership to the next level? What's the impact that you can make on your community? What is something that you can be able to showcase on the application? Remember, for the application, we always emphasize quality over quantity. It's not about trying to do 100 different positions. Typically, we think of it as like for the PIQs for the UCs, for example, PIQs for personal insight questions. There's 4 essays for the PIQs or personal insight questions. And so just think about what are the 4 different elements of personal branding that you have about yourself. And let's get to the last thing is 12th grade, wrapping up any ongoing extracurriculars with strong commitment. Wrap up any strong your ongoing extracurriculars. You already submitted your apps for the most part, right? So you're pretty much fine in general, right? So just honestly have fun in 12th grade. I would say that you've already submitted your apps. Try to like just enjoy the rest of high school while you're there because you're gonna no longer be there with your friends. And also focus on any other leadership experiences that you might have and just like, see what kind of impact you can make. Okay. All right. So now let's go down to the deadlines and the important timelines. Oh, and I did realize that there are a few questions that are probably related. Uh, in regards to between 8th grade and 9th grade, really it's about like either consider taking dual enrollment courses as well, like community college courses, or also to maybe get involved. Really, 8th grade to 9th grade is you could either do one of 2 things, right? One is to increase your academic rigor, consider taking those dual enrollment courses already, or 2, to be able to focus on just exploring different type of activities, things that you like to do. Okay. Oh, and also I just got a warning about timing. I need to make sure I cover the rest. So I'll cover all the rest of the questions on the Q&A section. So thank you all for your patience.
Yeah, just jumping in really quick as well for those who are like, what about summer? What about this? This is winter, everyone. We're on winter. Coach Victor, by the way, is his speed good? You guys like the speed right now? If you guys, Coach Victor, you want to scroll really quickly through his doc. We're just at winter. We're gonna go through spring. We're gonna go through summer. We're gonna go through fall. So we will hit all this the different seasons, if you want to think about it that way, for all the different grades. So keeping that in mind. But real quick, are we good? Because I do have to tell Coach Victor to speed up because we are running a little behind schedule. Unless you guys want me to skim it, then we can kind of slow it down a little bit. All right, little thumbs up coming in as well too. Fantastic.
All
All right.
right, all right. Let's speed it up then. Okay. Important deadlines and timelines, okay? I wonder if it's better for this one to just maybe let me just copy and paste it probably in terms of like the things that we want to, just because it's gonna be by verbatim. One, high school registration courses, that these are all the things that we already mentioned up here, okay? But it's just a matter of like recapping for those that matter the most. Submitting your mid-year reports to colleges for 12th grade, review your SAT scores, try to prep for it, register for the spring, apply for summer programs for 9th, 10th, 11th grade, complete the applications for your high school, especially if you're in 8th grade. Uh, because also with magnet schools too, they have a limited capacity. So try to get ahead on that and make sure you submit your application on time if you have school choice at your district. Supplemental materials for applications if they do request it, and also confirm your FAFSA and your CSS profile submissions. Okay. So these are all the things that would be done later on. If you haven't done this yet, it's more likely going to be a more January, February kind of thing. All right, let's go down into the spring. Okay. Okay, so now this is like the spring semester. You're also kind of like ending school at this time. So starting with eighth grade, okay? You're finalizing your course registration for high school. You should have already submitted by now. And so that was covered already in the previous months, but now you're just going to be finalizing it and going from there. Also to consider too is to continuously improve on your study habits and time management. Before you go into high school, consider like are you going to be ready for the academic rigor that you're going to experience in ninth grade and onward? So evaluate yourself. Are you good at time managing? And also, do you know how to utilize your resources if you get stuck on a particular problem or in your studies? All right, ninth grade, build strong study routines for the final exams. This is going to be your last semester before the summertime. So just make sure that you always maximize your grades as much as possible. A lot of people tend to think that only 10th and 11th grade grades only matter, but in reality, we look at everything, okay? Admissions, we look at 8th grade, ninth grade, all the way up to 12th grade. So just know that your grades matter, especially in the ninth grade as well. Also, from there too is to explore the advanced summer courses or enrichment programs that you have to offer that are going to be available in the upcoming summer. So you should kind of finalize your registration and try to get ahead. All right, 10th grade. Start reviewing for your AP IB exams. Usually the exams I think they're like in April, May-ish time frame, depending on your school. And so for this time, right, you just want to make sure that you study in groups, study with your friends, and also try to take some practice tests as well so that you get used to kind of the environment. Something that's really important. It's not just about doing the problems, but to recreate the environment that you're going to do test taking. So for example, try to reserve one weekend to do a practice AP test. And so that way you can get a better sense of like how well you do with the amount of time that you get with with the number of breaks that they offer. All right. And also prepare for your finals, like everyone else as well. Your grades especially matter in 10th grade too. And so for some of the schools, they might only allow you to go to the AP courses or honors courses if you have good grades. So just making sure that you try to increase your grades as much as possible in this case. All right, next is 11th grade. So 11th grade, you'll be taking AP and IB exams. This is the same for 10th grade. So there's nothing really different here in terms of just know the different type of study strategies that you have, and also just try to maximize your score by recreating that environment. Next part is to start drafting your college essays and actually brainstorm for your essays. So uh, a lot of students actually they end up they tend to like save the essays until like last minute right before the essays are due. And the thing is that if you do that, if you wait till the very end, one of the challenges that you're going to have is uh you might realize that you have nothing to talk about. And what I mean by that is a lot of students end up realizing like, oh, I don't have a passion project. Oh, I don't have four different things I could talk about. So start considering it now, especially in the spring, because summer is like your last kind of time to be able to do all these different things. So do consider like what's your four personal branding elements that we talked about for especially for the PIQs. All right, 12th grade. Uh, I always think like a 12th grade, it's like a time to like, celebrate and rejoice. Uh, Still, of course, focus on your classes, right? Like celebrate the hard work that you got to this far, but also stay focused. Your grades still do matter. If you do fail, you could potentially lose out on your admissions. And also, important thing too is to monitor your your graduation and scholarship deadlines. And during the time after you submit your applications, actually, this is usually where we go into scholarship season, where a lot of students are like looking at different financial aid packages. They're trying to compare which school has the best cost for them. And also, this is your time to kind of finalize any of those scholarship applications before that you actually go into college. All right. So moving ahead because of time, let's go on to the activities. So starting with eighth grade, okay? So for activities here, it's kind of one of the things that we encourage is like get to know the high schoolers that you're about to enter into, and just shadow them. Because the thing is, you want to kind of understand about what are the different kinds of maybe clubs that you want to join in the future, what are the potential opportunities that you want to take advantage of, and just start getting to know like how you might spend your time at this high school. So attend the orientation events typically during like the eighth grade of these months. Uh, we kind of go into they kind of have those like high school visitation events, and you'll be able to have a better understanding of your campus. Uh, and if you're ready to kind of get started on your activities and be early, start doing some like light volunteering or enrichment work. What that looks like is maybe volunteer at a local animal shelter, volunteer at like some type of community service organization. It doesn't really matter what it is, but what matters here is that you're just exposing yourself to trying on different things. At the end of the day, you're not necessarily just doing it for college apps per se. You're doing it because you want to understand about what excites you, what interests you. And that helps you lead into the direction of what particular clubs that you might want to do later on in the future. Especially during this time for ninth grade now. Participate in competitions or spring performances. Try to see if there's anything that you can add onto your awards list during this time. Because on the especially for the UC applications, you have 20 different entries for activities and awards. So consider like, okay, what are all the different types of awards that I could potentially have onto my resume? That's something that you could be able to showcase. Uh, from there, you're going to be planning your summer as well. I mean, this is kind of covered already in the winter months, but also the still is about to like you're transitioning into the summer now. And so hopefully you've been able to finalize what your summer plans are. And if you haven't, then that's where you might want to think about that personal project and think about like what are some things that you could do, whether that's by yourself, with your friends, with your family, to help you explore more about what potential interests that you have. 10th grade, attend college fairs and get a sense of schools. We actually encourage folks to like, yeah, go and try to look into colleges now. And a lot of parents might think that this is like way too early, but the reality is that unless students have been to see or know what the goal is or what the goalpost is, they'll be able to create a plan to backwards map it, right? And so if you haven't already, try to expose your child to different types of colleges, maybe do like some college visits, because you want them to like, work really hard for the next final years of high school. So try to be able to give that awareness and exposure, and also take them to different universities that they might not even think that they like. Because uh, if let's say like typically speaking, right, people take their kids to like the best campuses like UCLA, UC Berkeley, Stanford, et cetera, et cetera. And like, school, like sure, students get really excited about it and all that such. Also consider taking them to a state school or community college or anything of that sort so that they can understand like, do I really want to go to this particular school? And maybe one might be more motivating to them than the other. And so if they really want to go to like UCLA's campus is really beautiful, by the way, and like that's their dream school, then cool. Like make sure that they can visualize it, they can see it, and they can feel it. Okay. All right. And also take part in leadership in your clubs, and also maybe considering doing like more local, state, or other kind of competitions. If you are in like any competitive sports or anything of that sort, that's definitely a good time to consider like looking into those particular competitions that you're eligible for. All right, 11th grade. This is actually very similar to what I mentioned in the 10th grade, which is the college visits. Really important to do. So do it across 2 consecutive years of 10th and 11th grade, and especially utilize it during spring break. Especially spring break is a very popular time to do like college tours, and usually uh, every like a lot of the campuses will have some type of department or division just for visits. So if you want to do a tour, try to go there and try to just like again helping your child like kind of visualize like where do they want to be and can they see themselves in that school. If your student struggles with saying like, oh, I don't know what I want to do in the future, or I don't know what I'm interested in, it's because they haven't been exposed enough. Okay, this is really important, that you can't expect your kid to know what they want to do in life or what they want to go for college if you haven't even brought them there in the first place to even see it. So until you get them there, the next part isn't just also just exposing them, but the next part is to reflect with them, talk with them. What is it that is interesting about this experience? What is it that you like? And again, this is where coaching kind of comes in and why we like exist as well, is that we help the students kind of process out loud about which schools would be a good fit for them and why. Because a lot of students, they might say like, oh, I want to go to all these like top universities. And when you ask them why, they just think, oh, it's because of the name, right? Like UC Berkeley, UCLA, well, like Harvard, whichever. But at the end of the day, right, if you're applying to these schools, and especially if you're answering supplemental questions, the supplemental questions are for private schools, they want to know why this particular school. How do you fit in with the culture? How do you fit in with our mission? So those are the things that you can answer if you ask yourself why. And if you struggle with that in the application or you don't ask yourself the reasons why, then it's going to be extremely difficult for you to kind of fill in these applications. All right. Also for 11th grade, securing recommendation letters is going to be important here too. If just think ahead, right, about who are the adults, whether they're teachers, principals, or like people that you work with, who would be able to talk and advocate for me and to be able to showcase who I am. And so of course, like some of your schools might not require letter of recommendations, but you still want to prepare it just in case, right? Who are the people that you want to nurture your relationships with? If you know that you want to have a letter of recommendations with these 2 or 3 people at your school, then make sure that you keep in touch with them, like have good conversations with them. And you don't want to just be that one student that disappears for months and not saying hi to them. And then one time it's college app season, you're like, hey, do you remember me? Do you mind letting a letter of recommendation? The thing is, like these teachers, these staff members, they have so many students every single day, right? And so making sure that you nurture the relationships of the letter of recs of the people that you have. All right. And let's go lastly into 12th grade. All right. You're about to hit graduation. Honestly, just enjoy. Just like have fun. Don't overcomplicate things, okay? Like enjoy your last semester and at the same time maintain your grades, okay? All to say, just experience those last moments with your high school friends. All right. Important deadlines and timelines. So I'm going to post this in just because it'll be a lot quicker. So as a recap, register for your AP IAB exams if you are 10th, 11th, or 12th grade. Submit your summer program applications. Finalize your college list in 11th grade. Plan your college visits and also, oh, forgot to put it like maybe 10th and 11th grade. Apply for leadership roles in your clubs, especially if you're 9th and 10th grade. Register for summer classes or dual enrollment. This is going to be throughout for all the grade levels, essentially, aside from 12th. Accept your college admissions offer and submit your deposits. So you're going to need to submit your intent for registration and also review and decide on financial aid packages. This is extremely important here, where you kind of compare the cost of enrollment across different universities. Something that people don't realize is a lot of the estimates are really, really off, meaning that they'll always tend to overestimate the actual cost of going to these different schools. And so we'll help you to be able to like choose which school makes the most sense for you financially. Okay. All right, let's go into summer. All right, so we're in our last section and then we'll be able to go into Q&A. All right, so starting with summer, okay? Summer is one of the most important things, okay? I just generally say, okay? Because a lot of people think summer is the time where you can relax and do whatever you want. The answer is yes, and you want to make sure you take advantage of these opportunities because this is where you'll be able to stand out from the rest of your crowd, okay? Because uh, if you think about it, right, most of the majority of the school year, you're doing the exact same things as your peers. The summertime is the only time that you can differentiate yourself and you can be able to take part in activities that no one else has experiences in. So our kind of rule of thumb is don't follow the crowd, do like, be unique in your kind of your own way. And let's try to figure out what is it for your summer that you can maximize that opportunity. So starting off with academics for 8th grade. So work on transitioning your skills from middle school to high school. And what this looks like is you are probably more likely taking like summer classes during this time, right? And hopefully this can give you a better sense of how you do your own time management, how you organize yourself, and know that once you're in high school, right, you're probably going to be taking a lot more rigorous courses that you haven't experienced before. So try to get your system down, okay? There's this thing called the summer slump. I forgot if that's the right term, but typically speaking, a lot of students' grades uh, tend to go down during the summertime or right before the fall because they're not staying abreast or fresh with their like kind of academic knowledge. So try to make sure like whether if you're interested in math, like still try to do some potential math problems, do a little bit of your some academic studies, just so that you don't like transition like really negatively into the ninth grade. Okay, ninth grade. Hopefully during this time you're taking a summer course to explore your interest as well, and you can take kind of a dual enrollment course is what we typically recommend. If you don't know what dual enrollment course to take, typically we say take psychology or sociology. This is area 3 and 4 on the IGETC. For those in California, the IGETC is like the associate's degree requirement for you to get a general education degree, and so or general education associate's degree. And so essentially for those courses, they tend to be really easy and people tend to like them as a course to take. So try to consider that. Next part is to review challenging concepts from ninth grade, meaning like just to be able to, well, actually, this is ninth to 10th grade summer. Yeah. So just kind of reflecting on what did you learn from ninth grade, and then also to prepare yourself for the 10th grade courses that might have more rigor in there as well. Okay, let's go over to 10th grade. So during this 10th grade, during the summertime is typically when students tend to take their SAT subject test. So if you are going to a school or applying to schools that do accept the SATs, this is the time where you could be able to take it. Next part is to start looking into AP coursework to prep for the fall, meaning that like if you have some upcoming AP courses that you know that you're about to take, consider like how are you going to prep for it, whether that's like kind of your study strategies, and also what are the particular like study material that you can look at right now. Some people like might do some self-studying so that that way they can be able to start the next grade level in 11th grade really strong. And so if you want to make sure that your 11th grade courses or grades don't slip, then maybe try to study a bit ahead of time, because usually in 11th grade is when a lot of students tend to take a lot of AP courses, like maybe 4 or 5. So just be a little bit careful about that. Okay. All right. Next part for 11th grade is dual enrollment courses. For this, during the summertime now, you should be hopefully doing some dual enrollment to increase your academic rigor. So during this time, you just want to make sure that you are getting good grades in these courses. A pro tip from me, especially as someone who did dual enrollment in the past, if you don't do too well in the dual enrollment course, you can always decide to just go to another community college and just like not submit your grades for that original course. So that's a little bit of a pro tip there if you ever like end up not doing too well in one of your dual enrollment courses. So just one of those things of like uh try to also look ahead. I guess I should have said this in one of the previous months, but try to look ahead for the kind of the reviews on the professors that are teaching it. One of the websites we always recommend is ratemyprofessors.com. That's really important for your course selection for your dual enrollment courses, because you want to take easy courses. And also during the summertime, this is where you kind of take college tours and you go through virtual visits. I know this is kind of more for the activities, so I think that's kind of bleeding there. But now let's go into the 12th grade. This is your 12th grade right before you're about to leave. So in reality, well, actually, wait, is this summer before? Okay. Coach Tony, I realized that I think we kind of I've been saying that these are the summers after, but it's really this is the summer before. Is that right?
I believe so. I think we had a little boo-boo here.
Okay. So I think I kind of flipped everything. Apologies, everyone. I think what I meant to do here unintentionally was this was actually supposed to be for like the 12th grade summer. And this is the 11th grade summer. Okay. And I think for 9th and 10th grade, they tend to generally be the same for the most part here for the academics. So I don't think there's anything different here per se. Coach, anything that I might have butchered here that we want to make sure to cover again?
Nope, this is all good so far.
Okay, great. All right. All right, so let's go to the activities now, and apologies for confusing some folks. So again, this is going to be the summer before entering this particular grade. So the summer entering 8th grade. The thing that you want to try to consider doing here is maybe participate in like a summer camp or a program that relates to your hobbies or interests. What matters here is really Are you discovering your interests? Are you participating in things that might help you learn more? If you're interested in robotics, maybe there is some type of robotics like enrichment program that you can join. These type of things might not necessarily be at the level where you're like putting it onto your college application. It's more so about helping you give you a direction about what it is that you want to study or what you want to do. So don't at this grade level for eighth grade, don't worry too much about what looks good on college apps. Just focus on what is it that you're most interested in. All right, next part for ninth grade. This is entering ninth grade. This is where it's important to consider volunteering or maybe even interning into particular areas that you want to explore. Interning might be a little bit difficult to be able to attain, but at the very least, you never know. There's actually opportunities out there. We did a whole training about internships in the past before that that folks can be able to get access to. But really, the way to get an internship, honestly, is just through networking and conversing with people and trying to talk to different types of organizations out there and just seeing if there's an opportunity that's available to you. The best kind of job opportunities, the best type of internship opportunities are the ones that people, you don't have to compete against them. You just ask them and they have a need and they are interested in taking you on. So we can teach you the strategies on that in a separate subject or a separate webinar. Also, for entering ninth grade is to work on your personal project if you haven't already. Again, start ideating, thinking about what are some things to help me explore my interest even more, and what is it that can be aligned to my potential interest in my studies or in my career. Next is in 10th grade is to participate in summer programs and research. And so uh, there's a lot of summer programs out there, right? It doesn't matter about which one, again. I think a lot of parents tend to overemphasize, like, oh, my kid needs to get into this particular summer enrichment program or this one or this one. And because it's a very popular one that a lot of students participate in. But again, what really matters is the learning. What did they learn from the experience, okay? And if your kid is like interested in a particular subject, great. Like try to get them interested in that subject by having them participate in that program. Also, entering 10th grade is also to consider how you're building leadership skills through meaningful activities. So what that really means is uh, considering organizing maybe some type of activities, and all this can be fun, right? Like think about just like imagine you're doing something with your club or you're doing something with your friends or a group of people or volunteering, right? Try to organize something and like this can give you a little bit of exposure into like developing your leadership skills. 11th grade summer, entering 11th grade is again interning or participating in a in a summer program. So again, just being able to really explore your interests even further. The thing about interning, what's great is that because if you get that work experience or that kind of workplace exposure, you have a better understanding of yourself about what interests you, what excites you. And from there, that makes it very easy for you to write about it in your applications. If you're going to say that you're going to you're very interested in majoring in X, Y, or Z, hopefully you've done something related to X, Y, and Z. And usually internships are a great way to be able to do that. Also, for 11th grade summer, is to work on your PIQs or your essays. Especially for the coaching families, if you are part of our program right now, recall that we're going to have two upcoming events. One is the Kickstart, where we're going to help you set the foundations to create your own, to brainstorm and write your own essays. And the last part is Accelerator, which is towards the end of the summer. And that's where we'll be able to help you finalize your essays and have one good draft for your essays before you submit it. And so really important for you to start writing it and do it early because the thing is you don't want to be in a situation where it's the fall time, you already started your AP courses or your classes, and you don't have time to be able to work on your essays. So try to get started, especially during the summertime. Okay, going into 12th grade is to visit your colleges on your list, okay? Right now, you probably have already made the decision about where you wanted to go to, but in case you do have a later decision-making time frame as everyone else, visit the colleges, try to figure out what is it that you want to be able to do. Uh, oh my God, I'm just realizing I'm so sorry. I'm like mixing up the between the two in terms of like the 11th to 12th grade. I think for the this one right here is supposed to be actually for 12th grade. Is that right, Coach Tony? I'm realizing that
That's
in my
correct. Yeah. So
okay,
you move us over 1 year.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Apologies, everyone. Our notes are kind of a little bit jumbled up right now, but this is ideally made for the 12th grade, right? And then your college list should actually probably is in the same time frame here as well, so that you can be able to figure out like where do you want to actually apply to. Okay. Aside from that, right? If you notice, across the entire summer, for the most part, it's really about just exposure. Okay. For the activities, get the exposure that you need to help you understand about what you want to do later on, and especially now that you have the flexibility and freedom within your high school years. Uh, if you, hopefully during the summer times, imagine it this way: as you progress through each summer, you should be hopefully be doing something different or learning something new every single time, right? When you're planning out your 4-year roadmap, right? And you can do this with us as well. What are the particular learning experiences do you want to gain each month, or sorry, each summer, that can help you be able to have a very strong understanding of what is it that you want to do and also what you want to apply to? And also for the academics, right? Kind of a recap here is to be able to differentiate your academic rigor and to take consider taking like the dual enrollment courses or academic courses that other of your peers do not have. All right, let's go into important deadlines and timelines, and we can go into Q&A after that. So I'm going to copy this in. So reminder here, finalize your summer program participation across ninth all the way till 11th grade. Register for your fall SAT and ACT exams, especially for the 11th grade. And for some people, they might take it in 10th grade as well. Prepare for the Common App or UC applications. Draft your college essays and PIQs. Confirm your extracurricular schedules for the fall for 9th and 10th. Actually, and also 11th grade too. Research early decision and action deadlines for your colleges and ensure AP and IB summer assignments are completed here. Okay. All right. Uh, Coach Tony, anything I might have left out that's important?
I think that's pretty much a summary of all the things. I think, yeah, I think if you guys notice, it's pretty much a lot of the same things year after year. Again, there's some nuances. The one thing I'll caveat with everything that Coach Victor mentioned, this is like the 1.0 kind of layout. So for most students, for 90% of you guys, right, this is going to apply to most of you. However, there are nuances, meaning there are students where we're like, actually, you should be doing that this other year instead. We should be doing this other time instead. So for some of you guys, we might actually recommend more things to do as well, just because, hey, you have some particular things about your profile or you're aiming for certain schools. Again, we don't know, and we these trains have we have over almost 200 people here that we try to cater it to like all you guys. But it's really hard because again, we have some students who are aiming for our local Cal States. We have some students who are aiming for UCs, some schools people applying to like Stanford, USC. We have some people aiming for like Ivies as well too. So for a lot of you guys, it'll be a little different nuances for each one. And probably the best way to do that, I would say book a free coaching call with our team. You might chat with Coach Victor. You can see he's a super duper smart dude on our team as well. You can definitely chat and do it. Coach Vic, you can scroll up a little bit to the code words real fast. So people, if they are interested in booking a call, they can chat. And if you can throw in, I think you mentioned the internship call. I would love to kind of see if you can give that away as well too. You could add the word like text internship. I think it was a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It was recent. That's why Coach Victor actually did a training on how to actually get an internship, like literally from start to finish. No need to do anything. You just follow the training, you will get one. And we've had students who have. So it's actually one of those things. So if you guys are interested in that, you can definitely text. So again, if you guys are interested, we'll do Q&A in like 30 seconds now. But if you guys are interested in a coaching call with our team, or if you guys want to talk to Coach Victor directly, text the word Victor to 949-298-6234. If you want access to our notes, as well too. It'll be the blank worksheet for our coaching families. We're going to give you guys the link to the completed docs that we have, but 949-298-6234 there. If you guys want the internship training, again, same thing, 949-298-6234. And then same thing, when talk to Coach Victor, that's the number there. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and dive in some Q&A for that. First, we had a comment in the Q&A. Someone mentioned like their child got a 1560 in the PSAT and didn't qualify for national merit. Keeping in mind a few things, right? So the first one is when we talk about national merit, it's only 11th grade. So we've had some students who got really like almost got perfect score, if not also on the 10th grade PST. Doesn't matter, right? The 10th grade PST doesn't count for anything. So I'm assuming this parent, your child did it for 11th grade, right? Because if they did it for 11th grade, that's a different bracket as that would qualify you for national merit. But the other thing also is it varies per state, right? So keeping that in mind too. Each state that you're in, the score limit is different because the national merit is a percentage of the scores, the state's average. For example, California, our average is uber high, right? Our average is way higher if you're in a state in the middle, the Midwest or something. The score is low, like still high, but a little lower. So keeping that in mind as well too. Okay, awesome. Let's go ahead and dive in some quick questions. Coach Victor, we have a question here. I was a little earlier. I think you mentioned this in the academics. Can you talk about I think you mentioned diversifying your classes. Can you talk about that in 11th grade?
Yeah, so first off, what I mean by diversifying your academic courses is just like try to have differences in where you're taking your courses because if you take it all at the same high school, then essentially it makes it really hard for you to stand out, right? Like ideally, in ideal case, you're able to submit not just your high school transcript, but you also submit a college transcript. And what that shows me as like a admissions reader is that you're taking initiative. You're taking initiative on your education. And so um, as we mentioned, right, you can always take general education requirements, which is totally fine. You don't necessarily need to identify your major and take the specific courses for that because if you don't really know, then that's not going to be really helpful. So a safe way is to always generally fill in the general education requirements. And then from there, typically we tend to focus on math as the next part, especially if you're in STEM, if you're in engineering or computer science. Coach, anything you want to add there?
No, I think that's really good. We have another question here. Someone asks, how does this apply to you if you're homeschooled or do digital school? I can jump in for that question. Doesn't matter too much, right? Literally everything we've told you is literally the same thing. The one difference, though, this is the contextual part of every single family here, is that you are all at different types of schools with different opportunities, right? So, with that being said, you're relative, right? So there's two things here. There's digital school and then there's homeschool. I'll kind of talk about we have a student from Stanford Online High School. If you guys know that school, it's run by Stanford themselves. It's a high school though. So it's a really fancy private school, but it's a high school curriculum that's accredited and again it runs through the system as well too. So and there's a group of students who are taking the class at the same time. So that way pretty much everything applies. We'd also recommend to our student, hey, let's supplement your schedule with dual enrollment as well too. Let's supplement your schedule with all these activities in addition to what you're doing anyways. So that's that. We have homeschool family as well too. I spoke at the homeschool national conference, I think last year as well too. The one thing I learned about most homeschool students, there's different types of homeschool. So again, this is a very nuanced question because it depends on are you homeschool through yourself, through a charter, through a school? Because there's different forms of homeschool. The biggest kind of thing I've learned about homeschool families, there needs to be some level of comparison, right? Just like we mentioned, hey, you're being compared against your high school if you're alone against nobody, how you're compared against yourself, right? So that's why even harder, exactly what Coach Victor said, the dual enrollment is a great way because now you're compared against college students as well too. So that's the same thing. So everything we just mentioned today in all these calls, I would say nothing really changes for you. I would still supplement your schedule with dual enrollment, supplement your schedule with tests and all the things as well too. And I would argue it matters a little more for you just because again the colleges need a way to compare or else they have no clue. Okay. All right, Coach Victor, if you want to jump in and re-answer now that we've kind of gone through everything, what should we do after eighth grade, before ninth grade? I think a general tip there.
Yeah, so just as a recap in terms of what we wrote down, eighth grade to ninth grade and at the younger grade levels, it's just really about exposure, right? It's not
Mhm.
really about like, hey, you need to really seriously think about like a specific internship that really relates to your particular career. Because I mean, when you're at that young age, it's like, of course you don't know what is it that you want to do later on, right? And there's no expectation for you to know. So what we just focus on is what excites you, what interests you, what things do you actually love to do. The most important thing, especially about our kind of program, is that we always emphasize find the intersection of what you love to do and just like make sure you frame it in a way that looks good for college apps. There is a way that you can be able to find intersection of both. If you're just volunteering for the sake of volunteering, just because you think that it looks good on the college apps, it's not worth your time because you could be using that time for other things. Also, a typical thing that we've seen a lot of families do as a mistake too. They think like trying to create your own nonprofit is going to be like the one that kind of helps them stand out. Uh, uh, it's becoming very regular now that we're seeing a lot of these cases now. It's becoming more popular actually, where like students supposedly create their own nonprofit, right? Which in most cases we could see through that that's the parents mostly doing it because how the heck would the student even really know, right? And so uh if the student doesn't have a strong interest in it, just not worth doing it.
Love it. Awesome. Another question here. What are 20 different activities you can add? I'm assuming you're referring to the UC application, right? So the UC app will allow you up to 20 activities. Common application for a lot of schools allow up to 10. So for the UC app with the 20 activities, there's 6 categories that your activities will fall under. One is awards, two is educational prep program, three other coursework, number four, extracurricular activities, number five, community
Hmm.
service or volunteering, number six is work. It's pretty comprehensive. Like I think anything you can think of would fall under one of these 6 categories, and that's kind of why I did that. And you want to fill up our recommendation, fill up as much as you can. So this is one of those plan ahead, right? Because if you plan ahead, you can know this. Because again, some let's say some seniors are like, or some 11th graders like, oh no, I only have 2 things. I'm like, you can submit 2 things, but if there's 20 slots and a lot of students, a lot of our students are submitting all 20 slots, that's who you're being compared against as well too. Okay.
Mhm.
Quick question here. I can have a quick answer is what's the best way to find summer internships? Coach Victor did a really cool training. If you guys want to go ahead and send us a text message, the word internship, we can send that over to you. And also, like, if you guys need, like, want to chat with him directly on that as well, so you can text Victor 949-298-6234, schedule a chat with him there.
Yeah, quick answer to that too, in
Go
terms
ahead.
of the best way. It's not about finding internships, it's about creating your own internships. And you create your own internships by putting yourself out there. So that's just like kind of a framework to think about
Yeah, so
it.
someone asked a really fun question that I really love to answer. Someone asked, by the way, people are messaging the word internship inside the Zoom. We don't have access to to do it right now. If you can send a text message to us of the word. I think that's however you got here. Usually send a text back to that number, and that would get you there. Someone says, if not nonprofit, what makes you stand out? Here's spoilers, right? For those who don't know, my name is Coach Tony. I actually was a former UC Berkeley admissions reader. I've seen a bunch of apps, 20,000 apps during my time there. The last 16 years, I've helped thousands of students. I can safely say today, nothing that anyone in you, like we have still over 270 people here, nothing your kids would do will shock me or be like, wow, that's amazing. Because nothing anymore is really like amazing anymore, right? Everything is just a repeat of what someone else is doing. So realistically, the what's you cannot stand out unless you cured cancer. That's the only one I haven't seen yet out of every single thing I've seen. That's the only thing. So the reason how you stand out, it's not the what, right? I think Coach Victor made a glance at. I remember hearing him say that it's not the what. The what is not how you stand out. It's the why. Why are you doing that thing? Because your motivation to do that thing, that's unique. That's a one-on-one. No one can ever copy that story of you because that's you. Plus, it's the mixture of everything to one. That's the other piece. That's why there's no list of stuff. That's why we don't say, hey, you guys do this, because there's no list, right? Really quick, for me, I always tell people, hey, I do college admissions. I have a cool little mohawk. I like pro wrestling. I watch I love Pokemon cards. I do those stuff. And that's me and me. Find someone else who can do all that put together, right? And that's what makes me unique. It's not the individual it's who I am as a person. Okay. Awesome. We do have to head out. Coach Victor and I do have a call like at 30 seconds from now, so apologies. Everyone else who still has a question, if you want to just text me the question, 949-298-6234. I'll probably respond to it. I have a few calls tonight, but I can text you guys back today or tomorrow as well. So, but again, some keywords to wrap us up. If you guys are interested in a free 15-minute coaching call, text the word coach. If you want to chat directly with Coach Victor, text the word Victor. If you want our notes, for this session. Type the word notes. Those who missed, I saw people say, I'm coming a little late. Who wants the notes or the replay? Just text the word replay as well too. We'll send it to you guys. And then Coach Victor referenced a few times his internship training. We have that available if you guys want to go ahead and access that. Just text us again. Same numbers, everything, and we'll grab you guys the resources. Okay, that's pretty much it. Any closing words, Coach Victor?
Uh, no, I think you said it good.
Awesome, perfect. That's it for me, guys. I'll see you guys on the next call.